Week 2, the knowledge extraction interview. So every time I sit down with a farm owner after the audit, there is a moment before we start the extraction work where I ask one question, not a process question, not a technical question. I ask them, okay, so where do you see yourself taking this practice? What's the future of this? And then they just the chair. They sit and they smile. And something just between them shifts because nobody asks that question. Not the accountant, not their business advisor, not the consultants who came before me. And the owner starts talking about what they imagined when they started, a farm that they had in their head before the farm they built took over, and about the version of this business where they weren't the one holding everything together. And everything that comes out of that answer, every detail, every hesitation, every sentence that trails off, tells me exactly where the knowledge is buried. Because the gap between where they imagine themselves and what exists is precisely that knowledge that never got transferred out of their head into the farm. That is the question where extraction starts. And today, I'm going to show you how to run this process on yourself. Now, before I give you the process, right, I need to clear something up because most owners hear knowledge extraction and they think documentation, they think SOPs, they think sitting down and writing out how things work. That, my friend, is not extraction. It's instead transcription. And it almost never works. And here's why. When you sit down to write a process, you write the official version, the high level version, the clean version, the version that makes sense on paper. But that's not the version that actually runs your farm. The what runs your farm is the version inside your head, the one with exceptions built in, the one that knows when to skip step 3 because of a specific client situation, the one that carries 10 years of judgment calls that never made it into any document. You can't transcribe that because you're not conscious, because you don't have conscious access to the most of it. Think of a time or a thing or even a friend that you know about their history or just know about their life and everything, but haven't seen them in a long while. So when you see them, it just bam, it all just clicks to you. And once they go and you forget after a few days, you don't. And if someone asks you, okay, so what were they like? You can't really pinpoint to them until you see them. The same thing. So that's what extraction is. Extraction is a process of surfacing knowledge you carry without knowing you carry it through the right questions in the right sequence until the real operating intelligence of the firm is visible. And once it's visible, it becomes transferable. Now, there are 3 questions that do the work. You run them in sequence on yourself, in a room alone with an open document, and you do not filter the answers. Now, the first question, where did I see myself taking this practice? Where did I see myself taking this practice? Start there, not where you are, where you saw yourself going. Write everything that comes out: the size of the farm, the type of work, the role you imagine yourself in, the life you thought this business will give you. Don't edit it. Don't be practical. Think outside the world. Just write. Be free. No boundaries here. Write it all down. Because buried in that answer is a gap. And the gap tells you what never got built. And what never got built is almost always the knowledge that stayed in your head because there was a time that the time, but you never got the chance to move it. The gap tells you about the knowledge that stayed in your head because there was never a time to move it elsewhere, 2. What will break fast if I wasn't here? What will break fast if I wasn't here? Not what you think will break. What will actually break fast within the first 48 hours? Write it down. One thing, the thing you know in your gut will fracture immediately. That thing, whatever it is your highest concentration point, where your knowledge is most irreplaceable, and that is where the extraction has to start. Now, the third question was crucial. Why would it break? Why would it break? This is the one that does the real work. Not what breaks, why it breaks. Because, is it because nobody knows the process? Is it because nobody has the authority to make the call? Is it because there's a client context only you carry? Is it because the quality the quality standard only exists in your judgment? The answer to why tells you what category of knowledge you're dealing with. And the category determines the extraction method. Now, if it's procedural knowledge gets extracted through a process of process mapping, what to do, blah 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 blah. Judgment knowledge, how to approach situations, gets extracted through decision scenarios and frameworks. When this person says this or says this, think about it like this. When you have this problem, think about it like this. Relational knowledge gets extracted through structured handoff conversations. Different knowledge, different extraction, same result. It moves from your head into a form your firm can use without you. Now, I want you to tell you the thing that kills this process before it starts. Because most owners who try to do this on their own, they hit a wall. And then they blame the process, or they blame the time commitment, or they conclude that the knowledge is just too complex to document. That is not what is happening. What's happening is this. You see, when you try to extract your own knowledge, as brilliant, capable, magnificent as you are, you're using the same mind that holds the knowledge to describe the knowledge. And that mind, just as a car, has blind spots. It skips the things that feel obvious. It abbreviates the things that feel second nature. It assumes context that doesn't exist anywhere except inside itself. That is why the extraction interview works better with someone else running it. Not because the questions are complicated, they're not. It's because an outside voice can hear it's because an outside voice can hear what you're skipping, can ask you can ask you why when you abbreviate things, can stop you and say, and then we just handle it and just clarify about the details, and can ask what handle it means. And that there is the gap. This process leaves, that's the gap this process leaves when you run it alone. You get 60% of the knowledge out, maybe 70% if you're disciplined, but the other 30% is the stuff that feels so obvious to you that you don't think even to say it. And that 30% is usually the most critical part. Now, let's say you've run these 3 questions, right? You've got a document with the answers. So here's how to use it. First, don't try to document everything at once. Otherwise, you'll end up with a 40-page SOP that no one wants to read. They'll be like, put it back in the shelf. You'll use it later. But they never touch it, right? Take the answer to question 2, the thing that breaks fast, and that's your starting point. One piece of knowledge, one process, one decision framework. Extract that fully until someone else in your firm could handle it without asking you. And then from there, move to the next one. This is sequential extraction. One knowledge unit at a time, documented, tested, embedded before you move on to the next. It is slower than trying to capture everything at once, yes. And but it's the only approach that actually works, because knowledge transfer isn't about writing everything down. It's about the team actually being able to use it. Otherwise, you have wasted your time in such a magnificent manner. Writing a 100-page document that no one wants to read. Think about it. Yes, this process will take time and repetition and someone holding the process accountable, which is what the embedment protocol does. And then that's Thursday in 3 weeks. We're going to go deep on that. For now, just run the 3 questions. Find your highest concentration point. Start there. So 3 questions. Where did I see myself taking this practice? What will break fast if I wasn't here? And why will it break? The answers to those questions are the map. The extraction is the work of moving from what's in. The extraction is the work of moving what's on the map out of your head and into your phone. If you haven't taken the dependency score, do it before Sunday. It's wow, fantastic. It's gonna help you and give you a lot of clarity and insight into your farm's operations. The assessment runs the same diagnostic across 7 dimensions and give you a scored breakdown of exactly where your knowledge concentration is highest, and that tells you where to start the extraction. The link of this dependency score is in the description below. Sunday, we're going to go into the decision frameworks, how to build the tools that let your team make the calls you currently make without asking you. With that, I will see you on Sunday.